Hey, what's up, fellas? We're here in Tampa. I'm doing this DJ thing, which is very fun and different from what I normally do. But you know, I brought today my trusty Tyler. This is the second one I had. I had a first one, which is Sunburst, but this is a lovely guitar. This is pretty much the one I use through all the J Balvin tour. For those that follow me since, I pretty much put it away for a little bit after I got the red one. But you know, for the last year or so, I've been using it in studio and one-off. It's a very lovely guitar. You have like a very unique color. You can see some even like fuchsia or pinkish shade when you put it like a certain angle in the light. It's like a, you know, like a blue schmear type of thing. It's like I think the Thing 59 neck in it. I use 10s, the Adario. Have the Super in the bridge, old Tylers, and the 5500 single coils. It doesn't have the booster. It's very, you know, even though it looks like wild and modern, but it's pretty much like a super strat, you know, like your typical super strat. It doesn't have like an active boost or anything crazy or any switching. It's just like straight up fast strat. And I love it, and it looks awesome. So what's not to like about it, huh?
Everything. Love that, man. All right, John Wesley, the Journeyman Guitarist here with Papo, Hector, my good buddy from Miami. He's come up to Tampa and he's doing a gig, and I wanted to get him on camera. Papo is kind of legendary down in the Miami scene. He's been doing gigs down there for a long time. Out with J Balvin for a long time, playing tons of arenas, stadiums all over the world. And actually, you have played all over the world. So anyway, I just wanted to get a little bit of Papo's background for you, and because he's a true journeyman, man. He is a real player. He's a real musician out there doing it. And Papo, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your history?
Hey, what's up? My whole name actually, Hector Camacho, like the boxer, but I can fight. Anyway, but you know, everybody call me around like Papo Camacho, most likely. I'm like native from Puerto Rico, so that's that. So I guess me being from Puerto Rico, you know, like it kind of like brought this connection of at a time of this new genre that started like conquering the world, which is reggaeton. And to be honest, me being a guitar player, and you know, like Puerto Rico is pretty much like a United States. You know, like colony, whatever.
Yeah, protector.
So you know, I grew up like an American kid. You know, like very into rock, and then you know, because I'm like native, my native language is Spanish. So you know, I kind of like listen to a lot of like the rock Latino. You know, the Iron Rock too, which it was a thing and it's still a thing. But, you know, I can actually neglect my roots, which is, you know, like the Caribbean, the salsa, the, you know, calypso, the reggae, the roots, all that kind of stuff. So, but at the time when it started like growing, you know, like us, somewhat the musician or the rockers or the guitar player, we were like against it. But, you know, like full circle, like it started like, you know, becoming a thing, and I got challenged actually, like Looney Tunes, which are one of the two biggest producer of reggaeton, which is actually probably a big part of reggaeton becoming more pop or commercial. I met them through a common friend, and which, you know, gave a good word of me to them at the time. They were like, you know, recording everybody's album, even collab with Paris Hilton, which I was able to record a track they did for them at that project that pretty much, you know, whatever it did. I don't know, but I got signed for with them through the label. So I started like recording some of the reggaeton hit from the early 2000s. I was still in college. Actually, just left college around that time. So then, long story short, I was just like in the circuit in Puerto Rico with playing local bars, working in the studio, which actually was my first step into the music, I think, because before I became a musician, I was like doing something else. I was like audiovisual things. So I was always like playing music, but I was like pursuing another career. So early 20s, I was like, you know what, I love music too much, so I kind of changed type of thing. So, but because of it, I guess I think I stepped first in the studio to track, either as an engineer or to record something, before then actually stepping into a stage to jam, which is not very common. Most musicians
most people do it the other way around.
Yeah, musician. I started playing in garage or at church or my dad. So no, I did not. So it's quite like this fish that kind of like swim against the current. I don't know what's the name. So I guess I've been blessed to have the opportunity that I had, and somewhat, the career that I have, considering that I, started somewhat late or didn't have like the cliche, beginning.
Cliche path in. So how'd you get from Puerto Rico into Miami and into that whole Miami scene?
Well, I was just going from that. So, I did the whole, I started playing with big names in Puerto Rico. After that, like pop, like I did stuff very little for Anita Nazario, which is like a diva in Puerto Rico. Like all Latino that I'm watching pretty much know who she is. And here, so and there, we were talking before we just had dinner together, and I actually started to like teching for guys that were like, the A list. Yeah. I started taking for some of the guys. I started being like somewhat. I mean, I guess they saw like my passion, like into rigs and how knowledgeable I was about getting sound quick in the studio. So they started like calling me as a consultant tech when it wasn't really a thing in Puerto Rico. So that actually teach me a lot, just watching the guys, the real deal guys in Puerto Rico doing, like it teach me a lot. So with that, I kind of like moved from Puerto Rico to New York. I moved to Brooklyn. To Brooklyn. So, and I brought all that kind of like luggage or baggage or information or experiences with me. Yeah. And then, I try to do, New York is a different animal. You've been there a couple of times. So I'm not really, even though I love jazz and, everything. And but, I studied a little bit when I was in college, but I'm always being around more of the pop or the kind of rock type of scene. So New York is a different animal. I know this used to be a scene, or probably it is, very indie or CBG, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, in the everyday type of thing is either Broadway or corporate type of thing, or more, like doing the which is not anymore the 55 club or whatever they call it, bar, like very into that. So it was a funky time. But while I was in New York, I got my first big experience was with a guy of name Ricardo Arjona. Okay. Ricardo Arjona, I don't know if it sounds familiar to you, but it's like, I would say the James Taylor of the Latin world. So it's like, the guy only do like, I think he holds the record in the arena in Buenos Aires, like probably around 30 days on the road. Oh, wow. So it's that big, like.
So he's massive.
Yeah, it's massive. Everyone that pretty much Latino knows Ricardo. So I actually jump in the middle of a tour. Like the guy has some health situation, the guitar player, and the MD was a buddy of mine from Puerto Rico, and he called me, dude, I'm in this situation, and I watch you grow. And he was one of the ones that actually hold me, my hand and took me around. And I tech for him, and I learned a lot from him. So I think you've been ready for so long. You just need like an opportunity. So we're in the middle of the tour. There's no rehearsals. There's some papers, which pretty much like a rusty map. A rusty map, because we've been like 6 months on tour, so stuff changed. But here are the papers. Here are the music. It was like in the middle of the winter storm in New York. Next show is actually in Puerto Rico. It was my first show of February 14, like this day.
So you had to jump in. You just had
I pretty much I sat down while there was like the world was like ending outside in my apartment in New York, falling off of snow, and I kind of like went over the music, and we did a sound check / rehearsal for what it was. And then I did a couple months. I did Festival Viña del Mar, Brigada Arjona, which I survived the earthquake in 2010.
Oh, no way. Oh my God.
But anyway, it was a great experience, and actually that led me to see the world out there, and it led me to, I don't know, to open to different levels. Like, I started like, because I was in New York and common friend and such, like I started connecting with brands and it went from being this nameless guy from a mountain in a small town in Puerto Rico to
all of a sudden you had some credibility.
So that was the first, and then I did the whole circuit for a couple of years, kept doing sessions, and then I moved to Miami, and then in Miami, I joined other artists from the Latin industry, like here and there, small tour, till in 2014 I was called to do the J Balvin, which I'll say was like the next level, and to this day probably is been the artist that I've worked for the longest. And actually have the opportunity to see him grow, and actually I grew up with him. With him. So it was, it's an experience that I can say anything bad about it, and actually totally opposite, because of that, I was able to get a house with my family, and all the good things that come with it. I was able to, some of my best friends to this day, I pretty much met them while on the road, either being fan of the people that wrote me, or being colleagues from other bands or other artists that we kind of like connected. So all beautiful things. Music is special in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I call the channel the Journeyman Guitarist because that's what we do, man. We're journeymen. And that's the story right there. All the people he met, all the connections we made. We met at Disney, watching the band at Disney. And I was like, we just started talking, and he knew, my history with Porcupine Tree. I was like, man, this guy's a cat. I've got to connect with him again. And so he's up here in Ybor City in Tampa, and he's doing a gig tonight. And I love the gig that he's doing because it's so outside the norm, which is a true journeyman thing to do. He's playing with a DJ tonight, and he's playing the rock guitar, screaming solo guitar over some Latin DJ stuff, and I just think that is just amazing. Came all the way up here from Miami to do it. So it's like, you got to be able to do anything. You got to be able to hang with people, And you got to play well. I mean, I think there's some clips on your Instagram of you playing, but Papo's a monster, and I got to tell you, you got to look. What's your Instagram, by the way? Tell me your Instagram.
My Instagram is like, you probably can put it down here, but my it's like @PopTweaker, which actually is a name that back when I was in Puerto Rico, I got a lot of gigs to do like you. I'm doing my album since you know I have some equipment and I have just I love synths and program and computer and Ableton and from all those apps since early 2000. I was very into drum and bass, so that kind of stuff. So I guess that mindset of not thinking as a guitar player gave me an opportunity within the industry back when I was in Puerto Rico. So people were like, "Yo, I'm tracking for this artist or my album. Oh, wow. You want to come with me? I love the way you're good with sounds." And I started connecting with some of the guys over there. So because of that, and the bad luck of me having such a common name, which is Hector Camacho. Every time you go to freaking Google or YouTube, you put Hector Camacho, it's gonna pop a boxer. Yeah. So even though my nickname is Papo, but it's just joking about it with my friends, we said we gotta. So we came with that nickname of Pop Tweaker, which really much I was always the guy
tweaking the sound.
Yeah, tweaking the we trick. So I was a guitar player, not. Actually, a lot of the people later saw me playing. I didn't know you played guitar. I thought you were more like an engineer type of thing, or engineer or whatever. But so I usually, since then it was a joke, but I kind of kept it. And when I started with the whole thing of the social media, it started happening. So I said, I'm going to use this robot since I'm going to create. And actually, I put my first song after COVID, a little after COVID, and I decided to put that music under the Pop Tweaker type of thing, which is, it will give me, it will give me, and then pop is like Papo kind of thing, so I kind of made a whole sense out of it, and it will give me more an identity of a group or of a concept. Yeah. I'm not kind of shy or introverted, so that's the whole issue with the name and what to use. So yeah, that's my Instagram and my YouTube too, and all the social media is under that. So
I get a lot of people that go, "How do we get into the industry? How do we make a living? How do we do this?" We just heard the story. Obviously, you'll have different experiences than Papo, different people, but that's how you do it. Not only does he play guitar, he plays synths, Pop Tweaker, he can tweak anything. He works in a studio, he's got a studio, and more than anything, he knows how to connect with people. That's how you become a journeyman guitarist. So, journeyman guitarist John Wesley, Hector Papo Camacho, signing off. Check him out on Instagram, and don't forget to smash the like button, and do all the things. Do all the things. John Wesley signing out. Hector.
Hi, thank you,
brother.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful.
This guy, amazing.
That guy. Thank you, guys.